We are going live on air in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breaking news! This is Virgen reporting to you live here at the Sleepy Lagoon. This morning, on August 2nd, 1942, the body of a man, Jose Gallardo Diaz, was found unconscious by the Sleepy Lagoon. Gallardo's unconscious body was rushed to the General Hospital, where he was given immediate attention, but died just moments after, never regaining consciousness again. This alarming case led to an immediate autopsy. Coroners say he was intoxicated with alcohol the night before and found a fracture at the base of the skull. Investigators believe that the fracture in Jose Gallardo's skull might have been caused by several falls or by a car accident possibly. Suspects were held by the LAPD, 17 young Mexican Americans, all under investigation. But as of now, the Sleepy Lagoon murder remains a mystery. Hello everyone, this is Tony Pepperoni, and today on QuickTime we will be talking about the Suit riots of 1943, starting with the sequence of events. On May 31st, 12 sailors and servicemen clashed violently with Pachuco youth near downtown Los Angeles. On June 3rd, 50 sailors leave the Naval Reserve Armory in Chavez Ravine near Chinatown, attacking anyone wearing suits. On June 4th and 5th, rioting servicemen conduct search and destroy raids on Mexican Americans in downtown area. On June 6th, the rioting escalates and spreads into East Los Angeles. On June 7th, the worst of the rioting occurs. On June 8th, major rioting ends in Los Angeles, but spreads into other ports and urban centers such as Detroit, Chicago, Philadelphia, and Harlem, where African Americans dressed in suits became targets. And our specific topics will be: how does the Sleepy Lagoon murder and trial influence the suit riots? We will also be discussing what were the suit riots, along with how is masculinity shown through the suit riots. And finally, how did people talk about their own interpretation of the suit riots? Thank you.
How does the Sleepy Lagoon murder and trial influence the Zoot Suit riots? It helped start the riots in Los Angeles between Chicanos, soldiers, sailors, and Marines because of the hatred and prejudice toward the Mexican American community. The police focused the investigation of the Sleepy Lagoon murder on 40 friends who were affiliated with the 38th Street gang. 22 youth, boys and girls, all Latinos, from the 38th Street area of Los Angeles would be tried for killing Diaz. The prosecution had no evidence really, but they had troublemakers, and a lot of them. The newspapers would write negative press about the Chicanos, saying the Mexican problem needed to be solved, said by officials. Another example was they would profile the Mexican American youth. To police, they seemed like a gang. They looked different and had an attitude. In that time, there were pachucos who dressed in wide-leg pants pegged at the ankles with their long coats and chain. The pachucos always had their pachucas by their side in glamorous dresses, heels, and their hair done, always dressed to impress.
What were the Zoot Suit riots? It was a series of riots that broke out in Los Angeles, California in 1943 during World War II. The main parties in the riots were Mexican American and white military personnel. Although African American and Filipino Americans participated as well. The servicemen resented Latinos who socialized in extravagant and unpatriotic clothing during the war. The clothing they resented were the zoot suits that the pachucos would wear. Other than zoot suit wearing Mexicans, the propaganda and newspaper articles caused more tension between Latinos and whites. More specifically, it would cause racial tension. Even though most believe the reason for the riots were racial and social, others argue it was also patriotism and attitudes about the war.
How is masculinity shown through the Zoot Suit riots? Mexican Americans showed masculinity by not wearing the chino shirt and battle dress, which were the uniforms of patriotism. Instead, they wore the Zoot Suits to show they would not follow the regulations of rationing during the war. They felt they were showing Chicano pride and culture by wearing their Zoot Suits. White servicemen showed masculinity by beating up Pachucos almost to death and stripping them of their Zoot Suits. Also, they would rape the Pachucas that were with them. This was to show the Mexican American youth who the bosses really were. Also, to teach them a lesson to follow the regulations during the war. How did people talk about their own interpretation of the Zoot Suit riots? Years after the Zoot Suit riots ended, people used these events in music, novels, plays, and movies. Some examples are Zoot Suit by Luis Valdez, Cherry Poppin' Daddy's 1997 compilation album entitled Zoot Suit Riot, The Swinging Hits of the Cherry Poppin' Daddies, the movie 1941, in the prologue of The Black Dahlia novel by James Elroy, the novel Gravity's Rainbow by Thomas Pynchon, and last but not least,
This is Pedro Cardenas from Channel 5 News. Today we are talking about the rumors of a controversial movie that a Mexican director and producer, Edward James Olmos, is making. It is his interpretation of the Zoot Suit riots and what followed. His character Santana is a product of rape between his mother and an American sailor. Once he was born, his father was unable to love him because of what happened. Santana never found out why until years later. Santana got mixed with gangs with his best friend JD as a teenager. They were caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. They were arrested. JD helped Santana murder an inmate while in a juvenile facility because he was raped by him. Santana went to Folsom State Prison, but once he turned 18. While in prison, he became a leader of a powerful gang called La M. He is released, and after tries to fit into society outside of prison, but he realizes a lot has changed. He's trying to live a better life, but he makes a mistake that sends him back to prison due to a drug possession. When he's back in prison, he tells JD that he isn't interested in leading La M. The members of the gang find out and notice how much he had changed, so they decided to kill him to show the other gangs that even without a leader, they are not weak. Roll the clip.
Until now, I would have thought it a sign of weakness to even listen to what you said to me that night. But I see that you were right. I am two people. One was born when I met you. The other one began in a downtown LA tattoo parlor. My father, Pedro, was showing his love for my mother, Esperanza, por vida, for life. Zoot Suiters, and proud of it. In June of 1943, America was at war, not only overseas, but with itself. The racial tension was running high against anyone that was different. Excuse me.
Órale, mi reina. Échame.
Hey, let's see the finished product, hombre.
You're gonna like it, esa. Now you'll always be a part of me.
Chingao. Este vato's a fine artist, ese.
It's beautiful.
Órale. And so's the price.
Hey, we better be handing this. The streets are hot, hombre.
Okay. You got a problem being on the streets? Wearing your colors. Get rid of your tacuches, ¿me entiendes, Méndez?
Oye, between the Hearst newspapers and Walter Winchell on the radio, you think the pinche war was right here in L.A., hombre. It's getting hot all over America, carnal.
I'm grooving with my woman on the boulevard. She's so fine, Lucas, oh my. Don't tell me what time I may get home, because I'm here. Ahí viene el gran chingón, el mero mero. Y necesito un filero. Está cabrón. Say that fast 3 times, you say.
Oye, esta noche es muy caliente, ese. Muy caliente. Coming right back to me because I know you love it. I'm talking about this cutie, the one with the big old booty, the one that is thinking about me. So now we go to the movies even though I'm kicking it with you. I'm talking to all of the highness, so that means I'm not for you. You page me to tell me that you wanna be with me. You're thinking about me every day and I'm your fantasy. But hey baby, there's so many highness around and I don't want a lady. I say to myself that you're acting kinda crazy. To me they're all the same and I don't want a lady. So listen baby, here I am, here I go, you